Welcome, weary traveler. You've left behind the noise of the world and stepped into a realm untouched by time. Here, candlelight dances upon ancient stone walls, and the air carries the soft hum of forgotten lullabies beyond these gates. The night is gentle, and every story is a silver thread, weaving warmth around your heart. So, rest your mind. Let each word be a quiet step into the halls of dreams, until sleep, tender and deep, finds you. You are safe here, and slowly, the world drifts away. Chapter 1. Moonlit whispers in the ancient foresters. The soft veil of evening settled over the medieval countryside. The world seemed to sigh in gentle relief. The sun had sunk slowly behind the distant hills, leaving a warm afterglow that touched the tops of ancient oaks and maples. Tiny threads of mist curled around their roots, whispering lightly as though the forest itself were breathing, settling down for the night. Somewhere, far in the distance, a river hummed softly as it wandered lazily through the valleys, its waters catching the final glimmers of twilight and turning them into fleeting silver sparks. In a quiet village, near the edge of this forest, a few cozy cottages rested under the embrace of twilight. Smoke drifted lazily from chimneys, curling upward in delicate spirals before vanishing into the violet sky. The village itself seemed like a careful painting, small windows glowing with the warm flicker of candlelight. Each home had its own gentle rhythm, the faint clatter of dishes, the soft whisper of fabric being folded, and the occasional distant bark of a dog, settling back into its dreams. Tonight, the air held a subtle chill, softened by the gentle rustle of autumn leaves. A few villagers walked slowly along cobblestone paths, their steps deliberate. The cool breeze carried hints of fallen leaves and damp earth, comforting in its familiarity. It was the kind of evening that encouraged one to wrap oneself in a soft cloak and linger a little longer near a fire, sipping warm honeyed tea, or simply listening to the quiet world around. Beyond the village, a narrow path wound its way toward the forest, lined with flickering lanterns that cast long, gentle shadows. Each lantern glowed softly, as if aware of the night's solemn tranquility. The path was seldom traveled after sunset, and tonight it seemed as though it had been prepared especially for a quiet wanderer, one who wished only to breathe in the calm and to feel the slow heartbeat of the land itself. At the edge of the forest, the trees grew taller and closer together, their branches intertwined like old friends, forming a soft canopy above the path. Occasionally, a moonbeam slipped through the branches, touching the mossy ground in delicate pools of silver. The forest seemed alive with gentle movement, a fox padding softly through fallen leaves, the quiet rustle of squirrels settling into their nests, and the faint murmur of the wind weaving between the branches. There was a rhythm here that felt endless, timeless, and serene. Though the forest had its name whispered in old tales, the curse of the Hookmen, it held tonight no menace. Instead, it was a place of calm mysteries. The stories were known to the villagers, passed softly from one generation to the next, but they were spoken not to frighten, but to inspire curiosity and quiet wonder. The Hookmen, they said, moved only in the imagination of those who watched too eagerly for them. In the hush of night, the forest itself was the truest companion, and it seemed to welcome any who ventured gently along its paths. A small, hooded figure walked slowly beneath the trees, feeling the soft crunch of leaves underfoot. Each step was measured and mindful, echoing slightly in the vast quiet. The hood kept the chill from brushing the skin too sharply, while the scent of pine and damp earth filled the senses like a comforting lullaby. Occasionally, the walker would pause, listening to the distant sound of an owl, its call soft and melancholy, then continue, each movement a meditation in motion. Alongside the path, wildflowers lingered stubbornly in the fading light. Their colors had softened into the shadows of night dusky purples, deep blues, muted goldspot. They still added a delicate touch to the forest floor. Tiny spiderwebs, spun with delicate precision, caught the moonlight, sparkling like strings of tiny diamonds. It was a gentle, magical scene, almost dreamlike, where even the smallest details seemed to breathe peace into the air above. The moon rose slowly, a pale guardian of the night. Its light filtered softly through the canopy, tracing patterns that danced lightly on the trunks of ancient trees. The forest, bathed in silver, seemed to shimmer ever so slightly, and the shadows felt like old friends, bending and stretching in a slow, serene ballet. Even the soft breeze seemed to move with intention, carrying with it the gentle sounds of the night, a branch settling into place, the distant murmur of a brook, the flutter of leaves that had yet to fully let go of their branches. The walker paused near a small clearing, where a fallen log served as a perfect resting place. Sitting gently upon it, they allowed their hands to rest upon their knees, feeling the cool wood beneath them. Here, in the heart of the forest, the world felt suspended between two breaths. The tales of Hookmen were just at tales in tonight. They were replaced by something softer, the rhythm of leaves, the hush of the night, the gentle exhalation of the world into dreams. Time seemed to slow here. Each heartbeat echoed in the quiet, mingling with the soft chorus of night sounds. A moth drifted lazily past, moving with a deliberate grace, and the walker watched, mesmerized, feeling the calm sink deeper into the bones. Even the distant village, now a mere glow behind the trees, felt like part of the same gentle rhythm. The world was breathing softly, and in that breathing, there was comfort and safety. As the hours stretched forward, stars began to dot the sky with timid light, peeking through gaps in the foliage. The constellations seemed to tell their own stories, moving slowly across the heavens, unhurried and eternal. The forest, illuminated by moon and starlight, held a quiet promise, a promise that every tale, even the slightly eerie ones, could be softened by the embrace of night, by the gentle unfolding of shadow and light. And so, under the patient watch of the moon, with leaves murmuring softly in the cool night air, the forest prepared to hold the world in its calm. The walker, feeling a wave of warmth from the evening's serenity, leaned back slightly on the log, letting eyes flutter closed. In this moment, there was no rush, no tension, only the tender embrace of nature's slow, gentle rhythm. Here, in the heart of the moonlit forest, the world exhaled, the gentle wind hummed, and the first chapter of a quiet, contemplative journey had begun. And as the night deepened, the forest waited, patient and serene, to share its stories in the softest way imaginable. The moonlight glimmered on the fallen leaves. The night air breathed gently through the trees, and the world seemed ready to drift softly into dreams. And here, dear listener, we pause, allowing the quiet to linger, the night to breathe, before we continue deeper into the gentle whispers of the Hookman's forest. Chapter 2: Candlelit Halls and Gentle Shadows. The next evening arrived quietly, almost imperceptibly, as though the world itself had chosen to move softly, without disturbance. The village beyond the forest seemed to settle into its evening routines with a gentle, deliberate pace. The sky, brushed with the faintest shades of lavender and gold, hinted at the coming night, while a soft wind carried the subtle scent of burning wood and earth through the narrow streets dot within the heart of the village. A modest castle stood perched atop a gentle hill, its stone walls smooth and comforting rather than forbidding. In the calm of early twilight, its turrets caught the fading light, casting long, peaceful shadows over the courtyard. The castle had existed for generations, its halls echoing with stories of quiet moments rather than battles or grand triumphs. It was a place where candles glowed like tiny lanterns in each room, flickering softly against the cold stone, and where the wooden floors responded with a familiar creak to each careful step. Tonight, the castle seemed to hum in quiet anticipation of the night to come. The great hall, usually filled with laughter and the murmur of conversation during the day, now held only the gentle crackle of firelight. The hearth glowed warmly, and the flames danced lazily, casting soft golden light across tapestries woven with serene landscapes and pastoral scenes. The shadows of the room moved gently in rhythm with the fire, folding in and out as though the walls themselves were breathing. Along the stone corridors, torches were lit with deliberate care, their flames small and comforting. The light reflected softly off the polished wooden beams and the smooth stone, creating a series of calm, moving patterns that seemed almost alive. Each corridor led to rooms filled with warmth, where the day's work had been carefully set aside, replaced with quiet preparation for rest. Even the tallest turret seemed to lean into the evening, its windows glowing like watchful eyes filled with calm, peaceful light. A gentle melody drifted from the music room, played on a lute by a solitary hand. The notes were soft and deliberate, curling through the halls and filling every corner with a sense of gentle ease. They moved slowly, like a lullaby carried across the stones, wrapping the castle in warmth and serenity. Occasionally, a note lingered longer, a small sigh of sound, before dissolving into the soft resonance of the room itself. The music seemed to encourage even the shadows to relax, their shapes shifting softly in time with the tender rhythm in one of the quieter chambers. Near a window overlooking the village below, a small table had been arranged with care. A single candle glowed in the center, its flame flickering just enough to cast playful light across the polished surface. Beside it, a simple cup of warm, spiced cider steamed gently, carrying a scent of cinnamon and honey into the room. The air here was thick with comfort, the soft scent of burning wood, the faint tints of autumn leaves from the open window, and the warm, reassuring presence of stone walls that had seen centuries of quiet nights. The view from this window was a study in calm. The village rooftops glimmered in the moonlight, the chimneys sending lazy trails of smoke upward. Beyond them, the forest stretched into darkness, its edges softened by the gentle fog that curled among the trees. Here, there was no urgency, no sudden stirrings only, the quiet companionship of the night and the soft, watchful glow of the moon. Even the distant hills seemed to fold into the scene with ease, their forms softened by shadows and silver light. A soft wind moved through the open window, rustling curtains and carrying the delicate whispers of leaves and branches. It was a slow, deliberate breeze, almost as though it had chosen to glide through the room with purpose, to soothe, to calm, to remind anyone who listened that the world was at rest. The candle flickered in response, casting small, playful shadows that drifted slowly across the walls. There was a rhythm here, a gentle ebb and flow that mirrored the heartbeat of the castle itself. As the hour deepened, a quiet figure moved slowly through the halls. Their steps were careful and measured, echoing lightly against the stone floor. They paused at each corner, listening to the subtle music of the castle, the faint groan of timber settling, the whisper of wind through the narrow windows, the soft, almost imperceptible sigh of the flames in the hearth. Each pause was deliberate, as though they wished to absorb every small detail of serenity, letting it fill their senses completely. The figure carried with them a small lantern, its soft golden light illuminating the path ahead. As they walked, the glow brushed against tapestries and paintings, softening the edges of faces and landscapes, making each seem like a tender memory rather than a distant image. The walls themselves seemed to lean closer, embracing the gentle warmth and quiet calm. Even the tiniest details, the knots in the wooden beams, the smoothness of worn stone, seemed imbued with a soft, restful energy. Eventually, the figure reached a spiral staircase that led to a small, circular turret. Here, the room was furnished simply, a wooden chair placed near a window, a soft cushion resting on the floor, and a shelf of well-loved books and manuscripts. The moonlight fell in gentle beams across the floor, highlighting the dust motes that floated lazily in the air. Each mote seemed to move in its own slow dance, turning in soft spirals as though suspended in time. The figure settled onto the chair, letting the lantern glow near them while they gazed outward at the calm world beyond the glass. Outside the window, the village and forest stretched into the quiet night, bathed in gentle silver light. The trees swayed softly, their leaves whispering in the wind. Somewhere, a distant owl called once, then fell silent again, leaving only the slow, steady rhythm of the night. The figure breathed deeply, inhaling the scent of cool air, warm wood, and soft candle wax. Each breath seemed to carry a sense of peace deeper into the chest, filling the body with calm and easing any trace of tension. For a long while, they simply watched, letting the eyes wander slowly from rooftops to forest, from candlelight to moonlight. There was a subtle rhythm here, one that echoed the heartbeat of the castle itself, slow and deliberate, gentle and reassuring. The world felt safe, held in the arms of night and stone and soft golden light. In this space, the tales of Hookmen were no more than distant echoes, softened by the serenity of the castle and the patient embrace of the evening. The wind outside grew slightly softer, as though acknowledging the peacefulness within. It stirred the curtains just enough to create a gentle sway, a quiet dance of fabric in the silver light. The candle flickered once, twice, and settled back into steady glow. The figure, feeling a wave of drowsy calm, allowed the head to rest lightly against the chair back, eyes half closed, body relaxed. Here, in the gentle embrace of castle and night, sleep could arrive slowly, unhurried, wrapping everything in its tender, soothing rhythm. And so, the castle held its breath in quiet contentment. The fire hummed softly, the moonlight painted delicate patterns across the walls, and the wind whispered through the corridors like a lullaby. The world outside, the forest beyond, and the village below all seemed to breathe in harmony. A calm chorus of night sounds that promised rest and serenity. In this quiet, candlelit hall, the night unfolded slowly, and the story of the Hookman's world was not one of fear, but of gentle observation, of slow, deliberate motion, and of the comfort found in soft shadows and warm light. And here, dear listener, we pause once more, letting the warmth of candlelight, the slow sway of moonlit trees, and the gentle music of the castle fill your senses, waiting patiently to continue our serene journey deeper into the nights of the Hookmen's tale. Chapter 3. The serene village on a misty evening-aged night deepened over the countryside. The village below the castle seemed to sink into a gentle, comforting hush. Soft mists rose from the cobblestone streets and meandering riverbanks, curling around cottages and slowly enveloping the thatched roofs in a delicate silver-grey blanket. The mist moved like a quiet stream, bending softly around corners and edges, wrapping the village in its tender embrace, as if nature itself had chosen to cradle the small homes and their warm lights. The cottages glowed gently from within. Windows, aglow with candlelight, flickered like small, peaceful stars. Smoke drifted lazily from chimneys, twisting upward in thin, curling ribbons before dissolving into the night air. The scent of burning wood and autumn leaves drifted between the homes, mingling with the faint aroma of simmering soups and warm bread. Each cottage seemed a world of its own, a sanctuary where families and friends lingered in soft conversation, the subtle murmur of voices blending seamlessly with the quiet sighs of the evening dot outside. The cobblestones reflected the silver moonlight, their uneven surfaces softened by the gentle layer of mist. A few villagers wandered slowly through the streets, wrapped in warm cloaks. Their footsteps made gentle, rhythmic sounds, a soft echo across the otherwise silent village. Occasionally, a lantern swayed in the hands of a careful walker, casting a small circle of golden light that danced across walls and puddles. The night itself seemed to move in harmony with these quiet rhythms, slow and deliberate, without any need for urgency. Children, tucked safely into their beds, dreamt quietly while the village kept its gentle vigil. The sound of their soft breathing, mingling with the distant chorus of night creatures, added a tender undercurrent to the calm. Somewhere near the river, a cat padded softly along a fence, its paws brushing the wooden slats in near silent rhythm. Owls called faintly from the treetops, their voices long and melodic, punctuating the night with gentle reminders of nature's presence. Even the smallest sounds seemed meaningful in their subtlety, drawing attention to the beauty in quiet observation. The village square, usually a place of bustling commerce and cheerful chatter during the day, now rested in calm solitude. The fountain at its center, carved with centuries-old motifs, gurgled softly, its waters catching the moonlight in sparkling threads. Around it, benches and lantern posts cast long, tranquil shadows. The mist curled around the fountain, forming delicate patterns that seemed almost like soft embroidery on the night itself. Even the ancient well, often the subject of quiet whispers and tales, stood serene and unthreatening, its dark waters reflecting the faint glimmers of lanterns above, along the edges of the square. The marketplace stalls had been tidied, their cloth coverings folded with care. The faint scent of herbs and dried flowers lingered in the air, mingling with the cool, damp embrace of the mist. The old merchant, whose small shop overlooked the square, had just extinguished his lantern, leaving only the soft glow of the moon to trace the contours of his wares. Each item carefully arranged pots, bundles of herbs, and carved wooden figures seemed to hold a quiet story of its own, suspended in time and waiting for someone to notice its delicate beauty. The wind moved slowly through the village streets, rustling the autumn leaves in a soft, rhythmic dance. Occasionally, a leaf would lift gently from the ground, spinning lazily in the air before coming to rest beside a quiet doorway. The trees lining the village paths swayed just enough to create a soothing whisper, a lullaby carried through the streets. The sound of wind through branches blended seamlessly with the distant lap of river water, creating a gentle symphony that invited slow, deep breaths and calm reflection in one small corner of the village. A tiny bakery remained faintly lit. Inside, the baker worked with deliberate calm, kneading dough with measured, rhythmic motions. The scent of freshly baked bread filled the air, mingling with the subtle sweetness of honey and spices. Each motion was a quiet meditation, the rise and fall of dough matching the gentle rhythm of the baker's own breathing. Outside the window, the mist pressed lightly against the glass, softening the glow of lanterns and creating delicate halos of light that seemed almost magical in their quiet beauty nearby. A narrow lane led toward the riverbank, where willow trees dipped their branches into the water. The surface of the river reflected the moon in a long, shimmering ribbon, rippling gently with each soft movement of the breeze. Small fish occasionally broke the surface, sending tiny ripples that caught the silver light in fleeting flashes. The riverbank was empty except for the occasional night bird resting in the trees, its quiet presence adding to the serene atmosphere. The world here seemed to exist in slow motion, each detail deliberately extended, inviting gentle contemplation and quiet wonder. Along this path, the villagers' lanterns cast long, soft trails of light. A single figure walked slowly, their cloak brushing lightly against the cobblestones, their hand occasionally touching the rough bark of a nearby tree. Each step was careful, deliberate, an act of mindfulness. The gentle rhythm of walking blended with the quiet chorus of the village, the rustle of leaves, the faint trickle of the river, the soft hum of the wind. In this simple, meditative journey, the forest and village became one, a seamless expanse of serenity. The old stories of Hookmen were present only in faint whispers, here quiet, distant echoes rather than urgent warnings. They were tales shared around fires long ago, tales meant to intrigue rather than frighten. Tonight, under the calm glow of moon and lanterns, those stories seemed almost like gentle reminders of imagination and curiosity. In every shadow and flicker of candlelight, there was a sense of possibility, a quiet magic that invited observation rather than fear. Eventually, the figure reached a small bridge spanning the river, its arches reflected in the calm water below. The bridge was cool underfoot, made of smooth stone worn by centuries of quiet passage. Lanterns hung from iron hooks along its edges, casting delicate pools of golden light onto the stones. Leaning slightly against the railing, the figure listened to the soft music of water flowing beneath. Each ripple was a gentle note in a nocturnal symphony, echoing the heartbeat of the village and the surrounding forest. The bridge offered a perfect vantage point. From here, the village appeared as a softly glowing patchwork beneath the mist. The river, a silver ribbon, winding slowly through fields and trees. The gentle hum of the night seemed to wrap the figure in comfort. Each detailer, leaf drifting in the wind, a distant light flickering, inviting calm and reflection. In these quiet moments, the night itself felt like a companion, patient and soothing, guiding the mind toward rest and gentle dreams. Time passed slowly. The mist thickened slightly, curling around the bridge and the riverbank, softening edges and smoothing transitions. Every sound was muffled and softened, every shadow gentle. The village, now resting fully under the moon's watchful glow, seemed to exhale, releasing the day's residual energy in favor of stillness. The figure remained for a while longer, simply breathing with the night, absorbing its rhythms, letting each soft sound sink deeper into consciousness. Finally, with a quiet sigh, the figure turned back toward the village. Each step retraced the gentle path home, the lantern swinging softly, the wind brushing the cloak and carrying with it the subtle scent of river, wood, and night. Arriving at the doorway of a small cottage, the figure paused, lingering in the calm light spilling from the window. Inside, warmth awaited, the glow of fire and candlelight promising comfort and serenity. Stepping inside, the figure allowed the door to close slowly behind them, sealing in the peaceful rhythms of the village night. The sounds of fire, soft conversation, and distant music filled the room, blending seamlessly with the quiet pulse of the evening. In this sanctuary, there was no hurry, no tension, only gentle reflection and the sense that the world outside, with its soft mists and slow rivers, was cradling all who dwelled here. And here, dear listener, we pause once more, letting the village night, the misty river, and the gentle bridge carry you into calmness, resting before our journey continues deeper into the serene world surrounding the Hookmen's tale. Chapter 4. Twilight stroll through the forest glades. The following evening settled softly over the village and castle. The world seemed to exhale once more, releasing the lingering warmth of the day into the tender embrace of night. The sky had deepened into velvety shades of indigo, sprinkled lightly with silver stars, each one blinking slowly as though in quiet conversation with the moon. The air was crisp yet gentle, carrying the scent of damp leaves and pine needles from the nearby forest. It was the kind of evening that invited leisurely exploration, encouraging slow footsteps and deep, calming breaths. From the edge of the village, a narrow path led into the forest, lined with moss-covered stones and small wooden fences that had weathered countless seasons. Lanterns, placed carefully at intervals, cast soft pools of light onto the ground, their glow mingling with the silvered moonlight to create a serene tapestry of shadow and illumination. Each step along this path was deliberate, echoing faintly in the quiet air, a soft rhythm that matched the gentle rustle of the trees overhead. The forest welcomed all who entered with a hushed serenity. Tall oaks and slender birches reached upward, their branches intertwined to form a protective canopy. Leaves, tinged with autumnal golds, reds, and browns, rustled lightly in the evening breeze, producing a calming whisper that seemed to hum in tune with the heartbeat of the earth. Occasionally, a small bird called from a distant branch, its voice brief and melodic, then faded into the soothing chorus of the woods. A solitary figure walked slowly along the path, their cloak brushing lightly against the moss-covered stones, their breath measured and even. In one hand they carried a lantern, whose gentle glow illuminated the delicate curves of roots and the soft carpeting of fallen leaves. Each movement was mindful, a careful meditation in motion, allowing the mind to drift alongside the slow rhythm of footsteps and forest sounds. The path seemed endless in its tranquility, winding gently among the trees, inviting contemplation and gentle observation. In a small clearing, the moonlight fell uninterrupted, painting the ground with silver light and revealing the subtle beauty of the forest floor. Tiny mushrooms clustered near the base of ancient trees, their caps glistening with dew. Soft moss covered fallen logs, creating plush surfaces that seemed almost designed for quiet rest. Here and there, delicate spiderwebs shimmered faintly, catching the moonlight in tiny sparkling threads, like the careful embroidery of nature itself. The air smelled faintly of pine, resin, and rich soil, a comforting, grounding aroma that encouraged slow, mindful breathing. The path curved gently, leading to a small glade where the trees opened just enough to reveal the sky above. Stars glittered softly, and the moon hung low, casting its luminous glow over the forest in gentle pools. The figure paused here, letting the lantern rest at their side, and tilted their head upward, tracing the constellations with their eyes. Each star seemed to blink in deliberate rhythm, a cosmic heartbeat mirrored by the quiet murmur of the forest. In this space, time felt suspended. The world was still, held in the soft embrace of night. A brook meandered through the glade, its water sparkling like liquid silver as it moved over smooth stones. The sound of the water was soft, almost hypnotic, weaving a gentle melody that mingled with the rustling leaves and distant owl calls. Occasionally, a small fish would ripple the surface, sending concentric waves that shimmered and disappeared in an endless, calming rhythm. The figure knelt beside the brook, resting their hands lightly on the cool stones, feeling the faint vibration of the flowing water beneath their fingertips. The forest, though ancient and storied, held no urgency here. Tales of Hookmen of distant, eerie figures with hooks were present only in the soft echo of legend, faintly whispered in the creak of old branches or the shimmer of dew. Yet tonight, those whispers were gentle, not menacing, softened by the tender moonlight and the slow cadence of the wind. Even imagined shadows seemed to dance lazily rather than threaten, following the comforting rhythm of nature rather than its fears. After a few moments, the figure rose slowly and continued along a narrow footpath leading deeper into the glade. The path was bordered with wildflowers, stubbornly clinging to the cool autumn soil. Their muted petals, dusky purple, soft gold, and gentle creams seemed almost to glow under the combined moonlight and lantern glow. Tiny dewdrops hung like jewels on the petals, reflecting the light in fleeting, delicate sparkles. Every step taken along this path was an act of mindfulness, a deliberate engagement with the tranquil beauty surrounding it. A gentle breeze whispered through the branches, carrying with it the faint scent of distant hearth fires and the subtle sweetness of ripened fruit from nearby orchards. The sound moved slowly, curling around the figure and brushing past like an affectionate hand. Every inhalation brought with it the serenity of the forest, a calm that seemed to settle deeply into the chest, softening the mind and inviting relaxation further along. A circle of ancient stones marked a quiet meeting place, remnants of old traditions long since softened by the passage of time. Moss crept along their edges, softening each surface and inviting rest. The figure paused here again, settling lightly upon one of the stones, From this vantage, the glade appeared endless, a gentle expanse of silvered leaves, whispering trees, and softly rippling water. The entire scene was a lullaby for the senses, slow and deliberate, each detail inviting the mind to wander without hurry. Above, the owl called again, its voice a soft reminder of the life that quietly moved through the forest. Nearby, a pair of deer emerged slowly from behind a cluster of birch trees, their steps measured and graceful. They paused briefly to graze in the moonlight before moving deeper into the shadows. Even the smallest of creatures seemed attuned to the slow rhythm of the night, each motion deliberate, careful, and soothing. The figure remained in the circle of stones for a long while, simply breathing with the forest, letting the soft sounds, smells, and textures fill every sense. The brook babbled nearby, the leaves whispered, the moonlight traced gentle paths across the glade, and the wind hummed through the canopy above. In this space, even the faintest memories of Hookmen became part of the gentle landscape, shadows that contributed to the rhythm of the night rather than interrupting it. As the hours of night deepened, the figure began to trace their steps back along the path, the lantern swinging slowly, casting soft, fluid shadows that moved in time with each step. The mist had thickened slightly, curling softly around tree trunks and low branches, and adding an ethereal softness to every shape. Each breath drawn in this calm forest felt restorative, a gentle meditation that encouraged surrender to rest and the slow pull of sleep. Arriving once more at the edge of the village, the figure paused briefly to look back at the glade, now partially hidden by the darkening mist. The memory of the moonlit water, rustling leaves, and soft sounds of the night lingered like a tender caress, carried into the soul like a lullaby. The gentle rhythm of the forest seemed to follow them even into the streets of the village, mingling with the quiet hum of lantern light, the soft smell of burning wood, and the tender warmth of hearth fires glowing in every home. Finally, the figure returned to their cottage, stepping inside slowly and letting the door close softly behind them. Warm air enveloped them, scented with wood smoke and baked bread. Candlelight flickered gently on walls and floors, casting calm, dancing shadows. The quiet of the forest remained with them, mingling with the warmth of home, creating a sense of deep serenity. The day's lingering thoughts, if any, were smoothed by the slow, rhythmic comfort of the night. And here, dear listener, we pause once more, allowing the glade, the mist, and the gentle forest path to linger in your mind, carrying you deeper into calmness and preparing you for the next quiet chapter of the Hookman's peaceful tale. Chapter 5. The lantern-lit path to the old Miltha following evening descended with gentle patience, draping the village and its surrounding lands in a soft, velvety twilight. The horizon held lingering traces of amber and rose, fading gradually into the deep indigo of night. The world seemed to pause for a slow, deliberate moment, as if drawing a long, contented breath before sinking fully into rest. A quiet hush lay over the cobblestones and cottages, broken only by the occasional whisper of wind through the trees or the distant hum of the river winding its silver thread across the fields. From the village, A narrow dirt path extended toward the outskirts of the forest, leading to an old mill that had stood for generations. Its wooden frame, worn smooth by centuries of sun, rain, and snow, exuded a comforting stability. Though it had long since ceased grinding grain, the mill was still maintained carefully, its water wheel turning ever so slightly in the slow current of the stream beside it. The gentle sound of water splashing and lapping against stones carried through the night like a soft lullaby. Blending with the rustle of leaves and the whispering wind, lanterns lined the path, their flames soft and golden. Each lantern seemed deliberately placed to illuminate the quiet way, casting gentle circles of light across fallen leaves and small patches of grass. Shadows stretched slowly behind trees and fence posts, softening as the lantern glow mingled with the cool, silver light of the rising moon. The air was cool but not biting, scented faintly with pine, earth, and the subtle sweetness of distant orchard trees. The path seemed to beckon, inviting a slow, mindful stroll in the calm of the night. A solitary figure moved carefully along the path, their cloak brushing softly against their legs, each step producing a gentle rustle of dry leaves. In one hand they carried a lantern, its glow dancing on the smooth wooden boards of fences, fallen branches, and the occasional mossy stone. The movement of light and shadow was hypnotic, casting delicate shapes that seemed to breathe slowly with each step. The figure paused occasionally to touch the bark of a tree or run a hand along the smooth surface of the old fence, savoring the tactile comfort of familiar textures. The stream beside the path was particularly serene tonight, its waters, clear and reflective under the moonlight, moved with a soft, deliberate rhythm, whispering across small stones and around the roots of trees. Tiny ripples formed like gentle waves on a still sea, and the sound of water seemed to carry a quiet song that soothed the senses. Occasionally, a small leaf floated past on the current, spinning lazily, turning in its own slow rhythm, as if dancing to the music of the night. The path curved gently, leading the figure through small clusters of wildflowers and low shrubs that had managed to linger despite the chill of approaching autumn. Dew glimmered on petals and leaves, reflecting both lantern and moonlight in delicate flashes. The quiet shimmer felt magical, as though the forest had placed tiny jewels along the trail for anyone moving slowly enough to notice. Each step along the path invited observation, curiosity, and a gentle sense of wonder. Nearby, the mill's wheel moved lazily in the soft current, the aged wood creaking faintly in a slow, rhythmic song. The wheel's reflection shimmered in the water, creating an effect almost like two wheels turning simultaneously, one in the solid world, and one in the liquid, luminous reflection. The figure stopped briefly to watch the water interact with the wheel, listening to the gentle sounds of splashing, creaking, and soft wind in the nearby trees. The scene was entirely calm, each element working in harmony to create a sense of complete serenity. The mill itself, though old, exuded warmth rather than age. Its wooden walls glowed faintly in the lantern light, and small windows allowed glimpses of soft amber illumination from within. Inside, though the machinery had long since been retired, the space was maintained as a quiet sanctuary. A few small tables and chairs rested in alcoves, each illuminated by the gentle flicker of candlelight. The wooden floors creaked softly as the breeze passed through, carrying the delicate scent of burning tallow and the faint, comforting aroma of stored herbs. A gentle breeze moved through the open windows, fluttering the edge of a hanging tapestry and causing candle flames to dance softly. The figure approached a small window and looked out, taking in the gentle scene of the stream, the lantern-lit path, and the forest beyond. Leaves whispered softly in the wind, the water murmured peacefully, and the mill itself seemed to breathe in tandem with the night. Even the distant hills and faint silhouettes of trees beyond the forest appeared softened by a comforting haze, creating a sense of timeless calm. The old tales of Hookmen were present only in whispers, softened by the serenity of the In this gentle hour, they were memories rather than threats, faint echoes that contributed to the tapestry of imagination without disturbing the calm. Shadows cast by the lanterns were fluid, moving slowly across walls, floors, and the stream outside. They reminded the mind that imagination too could be soft, playful, and soothing rather than alarming. The figure moved slowly through the interior of the mill, pausing at each alcove and nook to absorb the gentle warmth. Dust motes floated lazily in the lantern glow, spinning and drifting as though in slow, deliberate dance. Each flicker of light on the walls created small patterns, ephemeral in nature, drawing the eye and inviting meditation. The entire room felt alive, but in a serene, unhurried way, as if the centuries of history within the mill had been shaped entirely by patience and calm reflection. Outside, the wind carried subtle melodies, the soft brush of leaves and the faint rustle of branches forming an unbroken lullaby. The stream continued its gentle song, interrupted only by the occasional, faint splash of a fish or the tip of a branch touching the water. The figure lingered near the window, letting the serenity of the night fill every sense. Inhale and exhale, step and pause. Light and shadow all moved together in a slow, comforting rhythm. Finally, the figure stepped back outside, taking the lantern in hand again. The path from the mill to the village glowed softly, inviting slow and mindful movement. Each step was deliberate, each breath measured, drawing in the calm sense of pine, river water, and the fading warmth of evening. The lantern light glimmered on dew-soaked leaves, and the mist that had begun to rise from the earth added an ethereal softness to the landscape. Each detail seemed designed to soothe the mind, encouraging contemplation, serenity, and a gentle drift towards sleep. The figure paused midway along the path, gazing back toward the mill. Its silhouette, framed by the lantern glow and silvered moonlight, seemed almost suspended in time. The wheel, the stream, and the gentle rustle of trees created a harmonious tableau, one that invited reflection and calm. Even the faintest echoes of Hookmen legends seemed to fade in the gentle embrace of night, becoming whispers of curiosity rather than tension. As the figure continued along the lantern-lit path, the village lights reappeared ahead, soft glows against the deepening mist. The lantern swayed gently with each step, casting moving patterns on cobblestones, fences, and fallen leaves. The path seemed to stretch infinitely, each moment elongated in a comforting rhythm. Every sound, the trickle of water, the rustle of leaves, the gentle murmur of distant village life blended into a hypnotic melody, a lullaby of the natural and human world in perfect harmony. Finally, the figure arrived at their doorstep, stepping inside slowly and allowing the door to close gently behind them. Warmth and candlelight embraced them immediately, soft and inviting. Outside, the lanterns continued to glow along the path, casting a gentle farewell to the night wanderer. Inside, the quiet hum of the cottage, the smell of burning wood, and the soft presence of familiar objects provided a comforting conclusion to the gentle journey. And here, dear listener, We pause once again, letting the lantern-lit path, the old mill, and the slow murmur of the stream linger in your mind. Allow the soft, rhythmic peace of this night to fill your senses as we prepare to continue our serene journey deeper into the gentle world surrounding the Hookman's tale. Chapter 6: The Twilight Garden and Whispering Leaves. As another evening settled softly over the medieval village, the world seemed to exhale in quiet rhythm, letting the last hints of sunlight fade into a serene tapestry of indigo and silver. The sky above shimmered with scattered stars, their faint glimmers mirrored gently in the calm waters of the nearby river. The air was cool and soft, carrying the delicate scent of pine, damp earth, and the faint sweetness of ripened autumn fruits from orchards lying just beyond the village. This was a night meant for gentle wanderings, slow reflection, and the quiet intimacy of natural beauty. Not far from the village, a secluded garden lay nestled behind a low stone wall, its entrance framed by the elegant curves of climbing ivy. Though the garden had been cultivated long ago, nature had gently reclaimed parts of it, creating a harmonious blend of careful human design and wild beauty. Paths paved with smooth stones wound slowly through flower beds and small groves, their surfaces glistening faintly with dew. Lanterns placed at intervals cast soft circles of warm light, illuminating the delicate shapes of plants and the gentle curves of garden sculptures. A figure entered the garden, their cloak brushing lightly against the damp grass. The sound of their footsteps was soft, almost inaudible, absorbed by the earth and softened further by the gentle rustle of leaves overhead. In one hand, they carried a lantern whose golden glow illuminated the path ahead in tender arcs, highlighting fallen petals, tiny mushrooms, and small pools of dew reflecting both lantern and moonlight. Each step was deliberate, a slow meditation, as the figure allowed themselves to be completely enveloped by the garden's calm atmosphere. The flowers themselves were remnants of multiple seasons, their colors muted yet comforting, gentle purples, deep blues, pale yellows, and soft creams. Tiny dewdrops clung to petals, glinting like faint stars, reflecting both the lantern and moonlight in fleeting, delicate sparkles. The scents of lavender, rosemary, and honeysuckle mingled with the cool autumn air, creating an aroma that invited deep, mindful breaths. Each inhalation seemed to draw the calm deeper into the chest, releasing the tension of the day and replacing it with serenity. Tall hedges lined the edges of the garden, their trimmed forms softened by the moss and ivy that crept along their surfaces. Between the hedges, small stone statues of animals and mythical creatures peeked softly through the greenery, their features softened by time and the gentle glow of lantern light. A tiny fox crouched in mid-pounce, its stone eyes fixed in playful curiosity. A bird, wings slightly spread, seemed caught in an eternal moment of flight. These statues, though lifeless, felt alive in the gentle interplay of shadow and light, adding a sense of quiet magic to the space at the center of the garden. A circular fountain stood, its waters flowing steadily and softly, catching the moonlight in long, silver threads. The sound of the water was hypnotic, blending seamlessly with the rustle of leaves, the distant hum of the village, and the occasional soft call of an owl from the forest edge. Around the fountain, the cobblestones glimmered faintly with moisture, their surfaces inviting careful, mindful footsteps. The figure approached slowly, allowing the soft hum of flowing water to draw them into a state of gentle relaxation. Nearby, a bench of smooth wood and stone rested under the boughs of an ancient willow tree. The branches swayed slowly in the evening breeze, their leaves brushing together in a delicate whisper. The figures settled onto the bench, feeling the cool smoothness of the wood beneath their hands and the gentle sway of the willow above. They tilted their head back slightly, letting the moonlight brush across their face and tracing the intricate lattice of branches overhead. Each moment here felt extended, deliberate, a quiet meditation in motion and stillness combined. The garden was alive with soft, subtle movements. Tiny insects flitted between flowers, their wings catching light like small, deliberate glimmers. A hedgehog rustled softly through the underbrush, careful not to disturb the tranquility. Even the wind seemed to move slower here, curling around branches, sweeping leaves gently across paths, and carrying the faint scent of wood smoke from the village into the garden. The combination of these subtle elements created a harmonious, hypnotic rhythm that encouraged both mind and body to slow and unwind in this quiet sanctuary. Even the distant legends of Hookmen felt softened. Tales that might once have caused shivers now existed only as gentle memories, faint echoes of imagination that complemented the soothing atmosphere rather than breaking it. Shadows from the lanterns and moonlight danced lazily across the paths, creating patterns that seemed alive yet entirely peaceful. Every creak, rustle, or ripple became part of a lullaby of the evening rather than a call to alertness. The figure leaned back further on the bench, letting their eyes follow the gentle arcs of branches and the glimmering surfaces of dew-covered leaves. The fountain gurgled softly beside them, a continuous and calming soundtrack, while the lantern cast elongated reflections across the garden floor. Each detail, the curve of a flower stem, the slow movement of a leaf in the wind, the shimmering trail of water invited the mind to linger and explore slowly, in a meditative dance with serenity not above. The stars seemed to twinkle more brightly than usual, their light filtering through the branches in delicate patterns. Occasionally, a shooting star would streak silently across the sky, drawing the eye upward in quiet awe and wonder. The moon hung low, luminous and patient, casting gentle silver rays across the garden, softening every edge and illuminating the world with calm, steady light. Time itself seemed to stretch in this space. Moments drifted languidly, each one carrying the gentle cadence of night. Even the faintest sounds, the whisper of leaves, the soft gurgle of the fountain, or the distant hum of the village blended seamlessly into a continuous, soothing melody. The figure breathed in time with this rhythm, feeling each inhale and exhale settle deeper into the body, relaxing muscles, softening thoughts, and preparing the mind for gentle sleep. Eventually, the figure rose from the bench, carrying the lantern slowly through the garden. They traced familiar paths, observing every small detail once more. The shimmer of dew, the patterns of shadow and light, the soft sway of branches in the breeze. Each step was deliberate, a soft meditation as they moved toward the garden gate. The iron hinges of the gate squeaked ever so slightly as it opened, yet the sound was gentle, unobtrusive, blending perfectly with the natural lullaby of the night. passing back into the path that led toward the village. The figure took one last slow look at the garden, allowing its serenity to linger in their mind. The moonlight, the whispering leaves, the softly flowing fountain all remained as tender impressions woven into the calm, hypnotic rhythm of the night. Even the gentle memory of Hookmen legends now seemed entirely harmless, folded into the magic of imagination rather than tension or fear. Arriving back at the village, the figure entered their cottage with a soft sigh, letting the door close gently behind them. Warm air, scented with candle wax, wood smoke, and the faint sweetness of evening tea, welcomed them fully. Candlelight flickered on walls and floors, casting slow-moving shadows that echoed the gentle motion of the trees outside. The garden's serenity remained in their mind, a lingering lullaby to carry them toward peaceful rest and quiet dreams. And here, dear listener, we pause once again, letting the twilight garden, the whispering leaves, and the gentle flow of the fountain fill your senses. Allow the serene magic of this night to linger as you drift softly, ready for the next chapter of the Hookman's calm, hypnotic tale. Chapter 7. The quiet chapel on the hills. The evening deepened. A gentle calm settled over the village and surrounding lands, wrapping everything in a soft embrace of twilight. The sky above had darkened into shades of deep indigo, pierced by the faint twinkle of stars and the serene glow of the moon. The air was cool yet gentle, carrying the faint aroma of pine, damp earth, and the distant sweetness of orchards and hearth fires. In this peaceful hour, the world seemed to slow, allowing every sound, scent, and movement to be noticed, appreciated, and gently inhaled. Perched atop a small rise on the outskirts of the village stood a modest chapel. Its stone walls, smooth and time-worn, exuded a comforting solidity, while the small wooden bell tower seemed to lean slightly, as though bowing under the weight of countless serene evenings. Though rarely visited at night, the chapel radiated a quiet, steady presence, a place where the gentle rhythm of life and the passage of time were celebrated without hurry. Its windows glimmered softly under the moonlight, and inside, flickering candles awaited those who wished to sit and breathe in the hush of the world. A narrow cobblestone path led from the village to the chapel, winding gently along the hillside. Alongside the path, lanterns swayed slightly in the evening breeze, casting soft pools of golden light on moss-covered stones and tufts of grass. Each step along the path was slow, careful, and deliberate, as though the traveler wished to prolong the gentle journey rather than rush toward a destination. The wind carried with it faint whispers of leaves brushing against one another, and the soft hum of the distant village seemed to flow upward like a lullaby in accompaniment to the quiet of the path. Tall oaks and slender birches lined the hillside, their branches intertwined in a protective canopy above. Leaves rustled slowly in the breeze, their sounds soft and rhythmic, adding a hypnotic cadence to the stroll. Occasionally, a tiny owl would call from the treetops, its voice brief and melodic, fading gently into the night. The traveler paused often to feel the rough texture of bark beneath their fingertips, the smooth curve of stones lining the path, and the soft brush of wind across their cheeks, each sensation reinforcing the serenity of the moment. Reaching the chapel, the traveler stopped for a moment to observe its peaceful presence. The wooden door, simple yet carefully crafted, bore faint carvings of leaves and vines, softened by time. The walls, made of grey stone, held the warmth of centuries, their surfaces cool yet comforting. Candles inside glimmered softly through the windows, casting gentle, flickering patterns across the ground outside. The chapel seemed to breathe with the world around it, attuned to the slow rhythm of night, and inviting the traveler into its calm sanctuary. Inside, the chapel was a haven of quiet warmth. Rows of wooden pews, polished smooth over generations, rested beneath low beams that curved slightly overhead. Candles flickered along the walls, their golden light dancing slowly, casting gentle shadows that swayed in time with the soft draft of night air. A faint scent of wax, old wood, and lavender lingered in the air, weaving together into a comforting tapestry of smell. Every detail, the polished floors, the gentle creak of pews, the shimmer of candlelight on stone, invited slow, mindful observation at the front of the chapel. A small altar rested beneath a softly glowing lantern. The altar was simple, adorned only with a few delicate flowers and the faint glimmer of polished brass candlesticks. The soft, steady flicker of candlelight illuminated the surface, creating a quiet, meditative glow. From the pews, the traveler watched the light play across the floor, tracing patterns that seemed alive yet entirely peaceful, their movements slow and hypnotic. Each flicker invited deeper relaxation, a gentle reminder that the world outside could slow, and even legends or stories of distant Hookmen could exist merely as quiet echoes. A gentle breeze moved through the open windows, rustling leaves outside and swaying thin curtains within the chapel. The sound was soft and deliberate, as if nature itself were breathing in harmony with the room. The traveler closed their eyes for a moment, letting the quiet whisper of wind and the soft hum of the village below fill the senses. Each inhale brought the calm into the chest, and each exhale released the day's lingering thoughts, creating a rhythm that was slow, meditative, and deeply soothing. The chapel's interior was dotted with small details that rewarded careful observation. A pair of carved wooden angels perched quietly on a beam, their faces serene and calm. A small brass bell, faintly tarnished, waited silently on a shelf. Tiny wildflowers, gathered during the day and placed in a humble vase, caught the candlelight in a gentle shimmer. The traveler moved slowly among these details, letting each sight and scent contribute to a growing sense of deep calm. Outside, the moonlight poured across the hillside, illuminating the path back toward the village. Shadows of branches stretched gently across the stones, creating patterns that seemed to breathe in tandem with the rhythm of night. The wind brushed softly, carrying the faintest notes of the river and the distant murmur of cottages preparing for sleep. Even the forest at the edge of the village seemed to exhale in the evening, leaves swaying in soft unison, embracing the stillness and carrying the quiet serenity of centuries old. Rhythms. The traveler lingered at the altar for some time, letting the peace at the chapel fill every sense. The soft flicker of candlelight danced across walls, illuminating the textures of stone and wood. Each flicker, each shadow, each whisper of wind invited a slowing of thoughts, a gentle drifting into contemplation. Outside, stars twinkled faintly through the open windows, their soft glimmer mirrored in the calm eyes of the traveler, creating a shared rhythm between human and natural worlds. Eventually, The traveler moved back toward the pews, settling quietly and letting their hands rest lightly on the smooth wood. The candlelight flickered across their face and the pews, shadows moving gently like clouds passing in a soft, celestial sky. Outside, the moon rose higher, brushing the chapel floor with silver light, while the distant hum of the village, the soft rustle of leaves, and the gentle flow of the nearby stream created a lullaby entirely of nature and calm. Time seemed to slow completely. The traveler's breathing matched the rhythm of the night. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Each sound in the chapel footsteps of nocturnal creatures. A distant owl's call, the soft draft of air through an open window blended into a continuous melody of serenity. Even the faint whispers of Hookmen legends, carried by imagination alone, became gentle background music. Nothing startling, nothing urgent, only part of the fabric of night. After a long, meditative pause, the traveler rose slowly, feeling the deep calm of the chapel linger in every limb. They walked back along the stone path toward the village, each step deliberate and measured, allowing the gentle rhythm of night to guide their mind and body toward rest. Lanterns swayed softly along the route, casting tender, moving shadows that danced in harmony with the slow motion of the evening wind. Arriving back at the cottage, the traveler stepped inside, closing the door quietly behind them. Warm air greeted them, carrying the comforting aroma of burning wood and gentle spices from evening preparations. Candlelight flickered in soft arcs, illuminating the room in gentle, golden hues. Even the faint memory of the chapel, the moonlit hillside, and the whispering leaves outside seemed to blend seamlessly into this cocoon of warmth and calm, creating a perfect bridge to a night of peaceful sleep. And here, dear listener, we pause once again, letting the quiet chapel, the moonlit hillside, and the whispering leaves fill your mind with serenity. Allow the soft calm of this night to linger, guiding you gently toward the next chapter of our Hookman's lullaby-like tale. Chapter 8. The gentle hillside and harvest glows. The night arrived softly, draping the village and surrounding countryside in a quiet, restful cloak of deep indigo. The moon hung low, serene and luminous, casting silver beams over rolling hills and softly rustling fields. A cool autumn breeze whispered across the land, carrying with it the faint, comforting sense of hay, earth, and ripening apples from the orchards that dotted the landscape. The world seemed to slow in this gentle hour, inviting leisurely steps, quiet reflection, and a tender attentiveness to every detail of the peaceful night. From the village, a narrow path wound its way up toward the gentle hills, bordered by stone walls and clusters of tall grasses that swayed lazily in the breeze. Lanterns hung from simple wooden posts along the route, their flames flickering softly, casting gentle pools of golden light. Each shadow stretched gracefully across the ground, blending with moonlight to create an enchanting, hypnotic interplay of darkness and illumination. Every step taken along this path was deliberate, a small meditation, an invitation to feel the calm of the night seep fully into the mind and body. The hills themselves were alive with subtle, soothing motion. Tall wildflowers bent slightly under the weight of dew, their colors muted in the silvered glow, gentle purples, soft creams, and faded golds that blended perfectly into the restful landscape. Tiny insects drifted lazily among the blooms, their wings catching faint glimmers of moonlight. The soft rustle of the grasses and the occasional hum of a distant night creature created a quiet symphony that wrapped the traveler in a sense of profound serenity. A small stream meandered lazily down one side of the hills, its waters catching the moonlight in delicate, rippling ribbons. The gentle burble of the stream added to the hypnotic music of the landscape, blending perfectly with the whispering wind, the soft rustle of leaves, and the distant chorus of nightbirds. Occasionally, a fish would break the surface, sending tiny ripples across the reflective silver of the water, a gentle, deliberate motion that invited attention and quiet contemplation. The traveler moved slowly along the hillside path, their cloak brushing softly against the grasses, each footstep muffled by the damp earth beneath. In one hand, a lantern swung gently, casting a warm glow that mingled seamlessly with the silvery light of the moon. Every detail, the texture of stone, the softness of grass underfoot, the delicate curves of wildflowers, seemed heightened in its significance, forming a tapestry of calm that encouraged deep breathing and slow, mindful observation beyond the immediate path. The fields stretched wide, their crops swaying softly in the night breeze. Wheat, barley, and other autumn harvests rustled gently, creating a low, soothing hum that complemented the song of the stream. Small haystacks dotted the landscape, their golden shapes glowing faintly in the lantern light. Each element, simple yet carefully observed, contributed to the hypnotic rhythm of the night, forming a scene that felt both timeless and tenderly alive. Occasionally, a small deer emerged from the shadows of a grove nearby, stepping cautiously into a patch of moonlight before disappearing again. Their movements were slow, graceful, deliberate, perfectly attuned to the calm rhythm of the hills. Even the distant forest edge, dark yet softened by moonlight, seemed welcoming rather than imposing, its shadows blending seamlessly with the gentle glow of lanterns and the silvery sheen of dew-covered grasses. The traveler paused on a slight rise, allowing the eyes to wander across the serene landscape. The village below shimmered faintly, its lanterns mirrored in the glassy surface of the river, while the hills and orchards stretched endlessly, bathed in gentle moonlight. The soft hum of the night water wind and rustling grasses formed a lullaby in which every sound was meaningful yet entirely soothing. Each inhalation of cool, fragrant air drew calm deeper into the chest, and each exhale released tension, leaving the body and mind supple, quiet, and ready for rest. In one small, secluded orchard, apples hung heavy on the branches, their skin glowing faintly in the soft moonlight. The traveler stepped closer, brushing a hand along a low-hanging branch, feeling the smoothness of the fruit and the gentle roughness of leaves and bark. A faint, natural sweetness filled the air, mingling with the cool scent of dew and earth. Every moment spent here was deliberate, a meditative engagement with the small, tender details of the world, each one contributing to a growing sense of calm and comfort. The wind shifted softly, carrying the faint aroma of harvested grains, wood smoke, and the distant warmth of village hearths. The traveler allowed the senses to linger in this gentle symphony, eyes half closed, listening to the subtle interplay of natural sounds. The hills themselves seemed to sway ever so slightly in response, a living, breathing presence that embraced the slow rhythm of footsteps, breath, and thought. Even the faintest memories of Hookmen legends were softened here, reduced to gentle, imaginative whispers that were part of the peaceful landscape rather than any cause for concern. As the lanterns swung gently in the traveler's hand, shadows lengthened and softened, creating a slow, hypnotic dance across the earth. Trees cast elongated patterns, grasses swayed in rhythm, and the moonlight shimmered on the gentle curves of the hills. Each shadow and light interplay became a part of the meditative experience, a visual lullaby inviting the traveler, any listener, to let the world slow, breathe, and drift into quiet contemplation. Eventually, the traveler approached a small wooden bench nestled beneath a cluster of oak trees. The bench was smooth from generations of use, its surface inviting gentle repose. Sitting down, the traveler allowed the body to relax fully, leaning back against the wood, feeling the faint warmth of the lantern light on the face and the soft brush of wind against the skin. From this vantage, the hills stretched endlessly, the village glimmered softly below, and the distant river reflected both lantern and moonlight in a tranquil silver ribbon. Time seemed suspended here. The traveler listened to the rhythmic rustle of grasses, the gentle lap of the stream, the faint call of night birds, and the distant murmurs of village life. Every inhale and exhale aligned with this natural rhythm, slowing the pulse, softening thought, and encouraging a gentle drift toward rest. Even the faint traces of stories long told, the distant whispers of Hookmen, were absorbed into the calm, harmless, and hypnotic landscape. The traveler remained on the bench for some time, letting the tranquility of the harvest hills seep deeply into the senses. The lantern's glow mingled with moonlight, creating soft, moving patterns that danced lazily across the grass and stones. Dew on wildflowers and grass reflected silver in gentle flickers, adding small moments of magic to the scene. The rhythm of the night slow, deliberate, and hypnotic continued, uninterrupted, encouraging the mind to release tension and embrace calm fully. Finally, the traveler rose and began the gentle walk back toward the village. The path was quiet, softened by the mist rising along the edges of fields and forests. Each step was deliberate, each breath measured, letting the calm linger long after leaving the orchard behind. Lanterns flickered softly along the route. Shadows danced in gentle arcs, and the moonlight followed patiently, guiding the traveler back to familiar warmth and comfort. Arriving once more at the village, the traveler entered their cozy cottage, closing the door quietly behind them. Warm air greeted them, scented with candle wax, burning wood, and faintly spiced tea. Candlelight flickered on walls and furniture, blending harmoniously with memories of the hills, orchard, and harvest glow. The peaceful rhythm of the night followed the traveler inside, weaving a gentle lullaby that promised rest, calm, and serenity. And here, dear listener, we pause once more, letting the gentle hills, soft harvest glow, and whispering grasses fill your mind. Allow the calm of this night to settle, guiding you softly toward the next chapter of our hypnotic, serene Hookmen tale. Chapter 9. The misty moor and lantern glow the night arrived with deliberate calm, stretching across the village and its surrounding lands like a gentle, darkened quilt. The sky was deep indigo, studded with faintly twinkling stars, while the moon, serene and luminous, cast silver light across fields, hills, and forests alike. The air was cool and soft, carrying subtle scents of damp earth, moss, and distant hearth fires. This was a night that invited slow, mindful wandering, a time when the world seemed to breathe in unison, each element moving with patient, deliberate grace. Beyond the village, the moor stretched wide, a vast expanse of rolling grasses and gentle rises. Mist hovered low, drifting lazily across the ground, curling around rocks and low shrubs in soft, silvery coils. The effect was hypnotic, a shifting, ethereal tapestry that softened every edge, quieted every sound, and invited every step to be slow and deliberate. Lanterns, carefully placed along a narrow path, glowed warmly, their flames dancing softly, merging with the moonlight to create gentle pools of gold amid the silver mist. A solitary figure walked along this moor, their cloak brushing softly against the damp grasses. Each step was careful and measured, muffled by the thick carpet of moss and grass beneath. The lantern they carried swung gently in their hand, casting soft, meandering shadows across the landscape. These shadows seemed to move deliberately in harmony with the figure, blending seamlessly with the drifting mist and the gentle swaying of the heather. Every movement was slow, intentional, as though each footstep itself were part of the night's lullaby. The grasses of the moor whispered softly in the breeze, creating a continuous, hypnotic hum. Tiny insects flitted lazily among flowers, their wings catching the lantern light in faint, fleeting glimmers. Occasional distant animals, perhaps a hare, a fox, or a small deer, moved gently across the mist, their motions slow, deliberate, and entirely in tune with the night. The traveler paused from time to time, listening carefully to the symphony of wind, whispering grass, and softly moving water from a nearby stream. Each sound was measured and soothing, forming a gentle rhythm that matched the steady beat of breath and heart. The moon rose higher in the sky, illuminating the moor with soft silver light. Mist swirled slowly around the low hills, wrapping rocks, shrubs, and tree stumps in delicate veils. Every detail became softened, every shape abstracted into curves and shadows that invited observation without urgency. The path, though winding and occasionally obscured by mist, glowed faintly under the lanterns, guiding the traveler gently through the vast landscape. A distant stream shimmered like silver, its gentle burble a constant, hypnotic melody. The water wound lazily through the moor, reflecting both lantern and moonlight in long, delicate ribbons. Occasionally, a small ripple would disturb the surface, catching light for a brief instant before smoothing again into calm. The traveler paused near the stream, letting hands hover over the water without touching it, feeling the gentle coolness in the air and inhaling the calm fragrance of damp earth and wild grasses. Every inhale and exhale became deliberate, measured, soothing each breath in harmony with the quiet rhythm of the moor here. Even the legends of Hookmen felt softened, transformed into subtle, imaginative whispers rather than frightening tales. The mist itself, drifting around rocks and low shrubs, seemed like a careful, deliberate dancer, creating shapes that invited curiosity and wonder rather than alarm. Shadows cast by lanterns merged gently with those of trees and rocks, forming long, flowing shapes that moved like slow, friendly companions. Every sound, every light, every gentle motion contributed to a hypnotic cadence designed to ease thought and induce calm. Along the path, small clusters of wildflowers glimmered faintly in the lantern glow, their muted autumnal colors soft purples, dusky yellows, and pale creams blended seamlessly into the mist, creating the illusion of small islands of light and texture. Dew glimmered delicately on leaves and petals, reflecting both moonlight and lantern light in fleeting, soft flashes. Every detail invited attention without urgency, a meditative dance that allowed both body and mind to relax fully. The traveler paused once more on a gentle rise, letting the eyes sweep across the moor. The mist stretched in endless waves, interspersed with the glimmer of lanterns and the silver sheen of the stream below. Stars twinkled faintly above, reflected occasionally in small pools of water or dew, creating tiny constellations across the ground. The hills, the grasses, the slow ripple of water, and the faintly moving mist together created a hypnotic tapestry, lullaby of light, shadow, and movement that encouraged a quiet surrender to rest. A gentle wind stirred, brushing softly across the traveler's face, moving through grasses and carrying faint, comforting scents of pine, earth, and distant orchards. The lanterns swayed lightly, casting fluid shadows across the path. Every detail, the rustle of grass, the ripple of water, the distant murmur of village life blended seamlessly into the lullaby of the moor, inviting slow, deep breaths and a gradual, soothing relaxation of both body and mind. Eventually, the traveler reached a small bench tucked beneath a cluster of low trees on the moor. The bench, weathered and smooth from years of use, invited repose. The figure sat slowly, feeling the gentle contours beneath them, letting the soft rhythm of the wind, water, and rustling grass fill every sense. Moonlight bathed at the bench and surrounding moor in a tender glow, and the lantern beside them provided a companionable warmth. Every sound, every movement, every flicker of light became part of the meditative moment, extending time into a long, deliberate, calming flow. The mist shifted and swirled around the bench, softening the outlines of the landscape and creating a sense of infinite depth and gentle mystery. This was a night for observation without judgment, for presence without urgency. Every inhale of cool air, every exhale of warmth, deepened relaxation and enhanced the hypnotic cadence of the moor. Even imagined shadows of Hookmen, often described in legends, now existed only as part of the dreamy, peaceful landscape, blending effortlessly into the soft silver haze. The traveler remained on the bench for some time, absorbing the subtle music of the night, the whispering grasses, the burbling stream, the swaying of branches, and the occasional distant call of a nightbird. Lantern light flickered softly, moonlight glimmered on mist and dew, and shadows danced in slow, deliberate arcs. Each element was extended in time, inviting slow, gentle breathing and the release of tension. Even thought itself seemed to move more slowly, guided by the hypnotic rhythm of the natural world. Finally, the traveler rose and continued along the lantern-lit path back toward the village. Each step was measured and deliberate, every breath slow and soft, allowing the calm of the moor to follow them fully. Mist swirled around legs and feet, grasses brushed gently against hands, and distant water murmured quietly, creating a continuous, soothing lullaby. The hills, the stream, the swaying grasses, and the silver moonlight together ensured that every moment was calm, measured and hypnotically peaceful. Arriving at the village edge, The traveler returned to the familiarity and warmth of home. Entering the cozy cottage, the door closed quietly behind them, sealing in the calm and gentle rhythm of the night. Candlelight flickered softly, hearth fires glowed warmly, and the cool serenity of the moor lingered like a tender memory, guiding the traveler gently toward rest. And here, dear listener, we pause once more, letting the misty moor, the lantern-lit path, and the gentle flow of water fill your mind with serenity. Allow the hypnotic calm of this night to linger as we prepare for the final chapter of our soothing Hookman tale. Chapter 10: The Moonlit Return and Gentle Dreams. The final evening of our journey arrived with quiet patience, as though the world itself had been holding its breath, waiting for the perfect hour to release a sigh of calm. The sky stretched endlessly above, a deep, velvety indigo, dotted with countless stars twinkling faintly, each one a gentle reminder of the quiet beauty of night. The moon hung luminous and soft, casting silver light across hills, forests, and village rooftops alike. The air was cool, scented with the subtle mixture of damp earth, pine, and the lingering sweetness of distant orchards and hearth fires. Every breath drawn in this hour carried serenity into the chest and mind, setting the stage for gentle reflection and sleep. From the village, a familiar path meandered slowly toward the forest, the gentle hills, and the meandering stream that had accompanied our evening's journeys. Lanterns swayed lightly in the soft breeze, casting warm, golden circles of light that mingled seamlessly with the silver beams of moonlight. The edges of shadows softened, stretched, and folded in the faint, hypnotic rhythm of lantern and moon combined. Every step along the path was deliberate, measured, and comforting, a slow acknowledgement of the surrounding beauty, and a quiet invitation to remain present, mindful, and at peace. The trees lining the path were tall and ancient, their branches intertwined above to form a delicate canopy. Leaves rustled softly in the night wind, producing a gentle whisper that harmonized with the subtle hum of a distant stream. Occasionally, the call of an owl or the faint chirp of a nightbird punctuated the calm, adding a gentle melody to the symphony of the evening. The traveler walked slowly, deliberately, allowing the senses to be filled with the hypnotic rhythm of the forest hills and village illuminated in moonlight. The distant stream shimmered under the moon's silver glow, its water moving slowly over smooth stones, creating tiny ripples that sparkled for brief moments before fading back into calm. The gentle burble of the water formed a lullaby in harmony with the soft sigh of wind through leaves and the faint rustle of grasses along the path. Small insects flitted lazily among the wildflowers lining the trail, catching the lantern light in delicate flashes, and adding tiny movements to the serene rhythm of the night. The traveler paused on a small rise, letting their eyes sweep across the familiar landscape. The village below glimmered faintly, lanterns casting golden circles among the shadows. Beyond the village, the hills stretched gently, dotted with orchards and fields, softly illuminated by moonlight. Mist hung lightly over the meadows, curling in delicate patterns around trees, rocks, and the occasional stone wall. The entire panorama exuded a timeless calm, a hypnotic blend of light, shadow, and slow motion that invited contemplation and the gentle release of thought. Even the distant forest, often home to tales of Hookmen, appeared welcoming under the moon's gentle gaze. Shadows were soft and flowing, never harsh or threatening. The mist curled lazily through the underbrush, forming shapes that inspired curiosity rather than alarm. Every sound, from the faint murmur of the stream to the distant call of an owl, seemed perfectly measured, part of a lullaby orchestrated by nature itself. The traveler felt each sound, scent, and movement deepen relaxation, inviting the body and mind into the slow rhythm of night. A gentle breeze carried the faint aroma of wood smoke, ripe apples, and damp earth. The traveler allowed the wind to brush softly across their face and hands, each inhalation filling the senses with calm, each exhalation releasing any lingering tension. Lantern lights swung lazily, casting slow-moving shadows across the ground in mist, creating patterns that moved like soft dancers. Every detail, the curve of a leaf, the shimmer of dew, the faint glimmer of a star in a puddle, encouraged the mind to linger, to drift, and to absorb serenity fully. The traveler continued along the path, passing familiar sights from prior evenings, the gentle hillsides, the lantern-lit orchard, the moss-covered stones of the forest's edge. Each landmark carried with it a memory of calm, a reminder of gentle rhythm, a testament to the beauty of patience and slow observation. Even imagined shadows of Hookmen legends existed only as subtle, soft echoes in this serene environment. Their presence transformed into a gentle curiosity rather than tension or fear. Eventually, the traveler approached the clearing by the moonlit stream. Water rippled gently across smooth stones, reflecting the silver light of the moon in long, delicate ribbons. The mist hung low, curling softly around rocks, grasses, and fallen branches. Tiny flowers glistened with dew, their petals shimmering faintly in the lantern and moonlight. The traveler knelt beside the stream, resting hands lightly on the cool stones, feeling the gentle vibration of moving water and inhaling the soothing scent of earth and pine. Every sense was filled with calm, and the gentle rhythm of the night became a meditation in motion. After a long moment, the traveler rose slowly and continued along the stream toward the distant hills. Each step was deliberate, each breath measured, allowing the rhythm of lantern light, moonlight, and softly rippling water to carry them forward. Grasses swayed lazily in the breeze, leaves whispered softly, and small nocturnal creatures moved with careful grace, all in tune with the hypnotic cadence of the night. Time felt suspended, moments stretched and elongated, each one contributing to a deep sense of relaxation and comfort. The hills rose gently ahead, their slopes illuminated by moonlight and softened by drifting mist. The traveler climbed slowly, feeling the smooth pull of stone and earth beneath each foot. At the top of the highest rise, the landscape opened fully. The village, the river, the orchard, the lantern-lit forest pathway stretched below, bathed in a calm mixture of silver and gold. The traveler paused to absorb the scene fully, inhaling deeply, letting the serene beauty of the land and night infuse every sense. Stars twinkled faintly above, reflecting in puddles, dew-covered leaves, and the gentle flow of the stream below. The wind shifted softly, carrying scents and sounds across the landscape, threading together the hills, forest, river, and village into a single, continuous lullaby. Even distant memories of Hookmen legends seemed transformed instead of fear. They became part of the soft texture of imagination, playful whispers that mingled gently with moonlight, mist, and shadow. The traveler sat on a smooth stone at the hill's peak, letting the calm settle fully. Lantern light swayed gently beside them, reflecting off leaves, mist, and flowing water in tender, hypnotic patterns. The moon shone with a patient, quiet presence, painting long, soft shadows across hills and meadows. The stream below murmured softly, grasses swayed, leaves whispered, and distant night birds called occasionally, all in harmony with the gentle cadence of breath, heartbeat, and thought. Time stretched indefinitely. Every detail, the flicker of candlelight, the sway of branches, the gentle ripple of water, the silver shimmer of doom, merged into a slow, hypnotic rhythm. Each inhale brought serenity deeper, each exhale released lingering tension. Every shadow, every light, every soft sound reinforced a profound sense of calm, encouraging body and mind to relax completely, ready to drift into gentle, peaceful sleep. Finally, the traveler rose slowly, taking one last long look across the moonlit landscape. The village, the hills, the stream, and the forest formed a seamless, serene tapestry. Lanterns glimmered softly in the distance. The mist curled lazily around trees and rocks, and the moonlight shimmered across every surface. Every detail whispered comfort, peace, and safety, weaving a lullaby of sight, sound, and scent that promised rest and gentle dreams. Returning along the familiar path toward the village, each step became a continuation of this soft rhythm. Lanterns flickered, shadows moved gracefully, and the cool night air carried the faint aromas of hearth fires, autumn orchards, and damp earth. Every movement, every breath, every sound contributed to the final embrace of the night's calm. The traveler reached their cottage at last, stepping inside with a soft sigh. Warmth, candlelight, and familiar comfort enveloped them fully. The door closed quietly behind, sealing in the serenity of moonlit hills, misty streams, and whispering forests. The lantern's glow faded gently into the soft shadows of the room, candlelight dancing lazily across walls and floors. The stories, the landscapes, and the subtle magic of the evening remained in memory. A quiet, hypnotic lullaby to carry the traveler into peaceful dreams. And here, dear listener, we pause one final time. Let the moonlit hills, the misty stream, the whispering leaves, and the gentle glow of lanterns fill your mind completely. Drift slowly, softly, and securely into sleep, carrying with you the serenity of the Hookmen's tranquil, enchanted world.
Thank